Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to use Lovable. Lovable is a tool to help you build things on the web. For example, websites or apps that you and your team can use to make things more efficient. The benefits of Lovable is that it offers unlimited creativity. Over the year and plus that I've been a user of Lovable, I've seen them add so many functionalities that just make it one of the easiest tools to use out there. So if you have been considering experimenting with AI and you've wondered how can I get my first app or website built with AI, this is the video you have to watch. There already are a lot of tutorials out there that show you how to use Lovable and all of these AI tools. But the problem is that they show you the happy path without really demonstrating how the scaffolding and technical parts work. So not only are we going to focus on the basic and most important concepts, but we're also going to show you what is exactly important and how you can get your app built by using the best practices. Today, we're building Prop Hub, a property management app for your tenants, clients, and maintenance requests. The first step is starting with our knowledge base. Our knowledge base is what gives the AI context about what we're building, why we're building it, and who we're building it for. This will help it just make a better app, make a better website. Whatever project you're working on, the AI is going to understand you better to produce something closer to what you're expecting. And I'll give you an example of the knowledge base that I built. And the good thing is that I have consolidated everything into a single prompt that I'm going to paste in Lovable and use it to start generating our app. Let's have a look at it. First, I'm just going to copy what I have in this document. As you can see, I have a brief introduction about my project vision, the roles of the users of the app, a bit about the technical considerations, and then the build phases. This is particularly helpful, not only for the AI, but for you to break down the steps into more manageable tasks. Now that I've copied the prompt, I'm going to paste it in Lovable. And before I hit build, I want you to have a look at what tools you have at your disposal. For example, you can attach context from files, or you can use one of their design systems if you're under enterprise plan. I'm not under enterprise plan, so I'm just gonna go ahead and plan it because I want us to have all considerations in mind before we actually begin building. And this is really good because it's going to allow you to make adjustments as you go without spending credits, but also this just makes the AI work better in my experience. So we'll give it a few seconds to generate. This is actually the most time-consuming part of starting a project with Lovable, besides all of the changes, fixes, and bugs that you might find down the road. As you can see, it's now starting to generate a plan. And first, it's asking us to review it. So let's have a good look at it. The number one thing is the file structure. This is a bit technical, but as you can see, it's giving you a friendly explanation on what each of these files do. Also, it's giving us an overview of its planned layout, such as a sidebar, top bar, and a row switcher. This will help us test our application from different angles, such as the role of the tenant, the role of the client, etc. And finally, it's giving us the design and its login page, which I'm all right with. I agree with all of its considerations, and I'm going to hit approve so that it can continue. If we wanted to make any changes to its plan, especially with design, this is a moment to do it because it's going to get more difficult and more expensive in terms of credit consumption to make these changes later. Also, if you're not happy with the plan that it has generated, it is always best to just start again since you're not deep into building your app yet. You can have another shot and you'll be impressed by how different an application will be created by just taking different tries, even with the same prompt. Now, it is loading, it's thinking, and the reason why this takes a while is just because it's building all of the stuff in the back end. As you can see, it's building the files. This is all technical stuff like your index, tailwind configurations. Now it's building each component individually, one by one. You can see here, it's done what we've asked it to do, such as the role switcher, the sidebar, the login, the dashboard. Everything that was in the plan, it is now creating, and it's actually going quite fast. Now that it's finalized creating all of the files, you can even see the changes that it's made individually on a more deep and technical layer, if you're into that. Otherwise, we can just go back and we now get a full view of the first shot of our app, in which we have a sidebar, we have a small user section here. It's pretty standard for an application. And we also have a role switcher toggle that will allow us to just review the app from different perspectives so you can just test easily. Now, it has completed the phase 1, the foundation, and it's ready to move into the phase 2. Why it knows this is a phase 2 is because it was in the prompt. It was in the knowledge base, so we fed it from the very first shot. Next, we're going to just say, please continue. Ready before phase 2? Please continue with phase 2. Boom. Now it's thinking. It already has the context that we gave it just earlier. And if you have a look at here, we can see it is now going to build the Landlord dashboard. So things like KPI cards, occupancy rate, monthly revenue, things your landlord would care about. If you had any specific information that you want your landlords, your owners to see when they first log in, this is where you would edit it, right? Before feeding it into Lovable. It has now generated phase 2 of our plan. And as you can see, we're able to see our KPIs. We can look at our occupancy rate, which is not bad actually. We're bringing in $47,000 a month in rent. We have 4 overdue payments and 7 maintenance items. Not bad. Now, the next step would be phase 3, properties and units. So I'm going to say I'm ready to continue and to proceed with phase 3. I'm ready. Proceed with phase 3. And actually, because AI is so smart, sometimes we can just keep context and prompts minimal so that it gets straight to the point. There's no need for being fluffy. We'll give it a few seconds for it to continue generating the rest. And if you try to click on any of the buttons, we'll quickly realize that it has not finished generating all of the pages. Well, right now it's trying to force me to navigate to the properties page because it is building it. But if you wanted to switch to any of the tabs in the sidebar, you can see how it returns an error because they're just not ready. However, because they're part of our plan, we'll soon be able to see them once they're built. So let's just allow it to finish with the first part, and then we can review how the properties page looks. Now that properties is done, let's have a look at it. Ooh, this is nice. So we can see the properties that we manage. Ah, actually, okay, this is nice. So this one, we can see it has a 92 occupancy rate, 89, 100, and 83. It seems like this dashboard is primarily focusing on showing occupancy rate, but I don't really like it because our vacancy rate is quite good. Let's assume Sutter Lane houses. It's just vacation homes. I don't know, it could be an Airbnb or whatever, but 89, 100 are really good. 92 is really good. 89, that could be doing better. And 100, I mean, that's perfect. It cannot get any better than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask Lovable to make one change. So I've taken a screenshot of that section in the Maple Ridge Apartments card, and I'm going to tell it to go ahead and display the main KPI in the property cards. Change the main KPI in the property cards to be revenue first. For example, gross monthly rent, and hit send. Now, here's the thing. I've just hit my daily free limit in Lovable. So I think I'm going to have to upgrade at this point. And here's the thing. They give you 5 credits per day to use. We've just run out of them. I think we got pretty far with just the free credits, since we're now going in detail and changing more specific things and functionalities of the app. I feel like this is a pretty reasonable price, so I'm just going to go ahead and upgrade. Lucky me, I have a promotion code that I'll use to make it a bit cheaper. Oh, it is invalid? What? No way. Okay. It seems I'm out of luck and I'm going to have to pay the full $25, but I think it's worth it in my opinion. And it just seems like it's slightly more expensive with the taxes added, so $26.65. Now that we've upgraded, I'm going to send this new message with my screenshot. It's asking me to verify I'm not a bot. I promise I'm not a bot. I'm a real human. All right. We'll let it work in the back end a little bit. See, now it's made the change we requested. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so it's still working on it. Even though the page refreshed, you can still see here that it is working on some things. It's updating our code. It's now finished building our property cards. However, it found an issue. Let's look at the details to see what's wrong with it. Now, I don't speak robot, so I'm just going to hit try to fix and let it take care of the rest. In the meantime, we can see that it did update to the $8,400 a month in revenue that this property is bringing. But I was expecting it to just remove this occupancy rate pill and replace it with the monthly revenue. We can either ask it to just replace it, but now that I am seeing it this way, it actually doesn't bother me, and I like having both KPIs, especially since now the main KPI, which is a monthly rent, is just slightly bigger visually. Wow, what happened here? Okay, so I accidentally clicked on this property, and you can look at what it has generated for us. So this is a deep level view of each individual unit. You can see which occupancy status each unit has. For example, occupied, vacant. This one's undergoing maintenance, perhaps a turnover, and we can add a new unit or edit an existing unit. So it's giving us a lot of flexibility, and The cool thing is sometimes it does more things than we actually anticipated it would do. Now it's done with the fix. So it fixed the chart.txt file, and it seems that everything is loading correctly here. So we can edit units, we can add units, and we can even add properties. So that's cool. Yeah. Now, why don't we move forward with phase 4? The cool thing is that it already knows we're moving forward with phase 2. So it's auto-suggesting we use this message. And look at it, how cool the context is in here. It's saying not only build phase 4, but build the tenants and leases directory. So we'll head forward, and I think at this point, I'm just gonna let it roll and finish through the instructions without stopping phase by phase. You can see here it has generated a plan, and it is showing us step by step. So first, it is creating the mock data for tenants. Next, it's going to build a tenants list page and a couple more things, but I really like how it shows which of the steps it is currently working on. So it just completed the mock data. Now it's working on building that list page for us. And after it's done with that, it's going to move on to the tenant detail page. So we'll give it just a moment. And if we try to go to the tenants page, right now it says it can find it because it is not built, but it will be in just a few seconds. Now it's finished building all of the tenants and leases routes. It's built the mock data, the tenants list, the details. I'm going to click on the tenants page and see what it shows us. And it is a bit slow because it's probably the first time it's loading. So that's reasonable. Now you can see here we have a bunch of tenants living in Maple Ridge, Sunset Villas, Sutter Lane houses. So that's cool. When is James Park lease ending? August 31st, 2025. So it's expired actually. Too bad we were late to renew it. And we can see an overview of their payment history, more about their lease details, the documents we've loaded for them. So if every one of your tenants must have a lease agreement in file, they all must have lease agreements, sorry, but that doesn't mean we're actually saving them in the right place. So this is a good way to make sure we're tracking compliance with every tenant. Cool. All right. We can even filter by property, by status. That's cool. Okay, I like it. But I'll take this opportunity to just, wow, make a change here because I feel like we could add one improvement. So we'll use the visual edits tool. And as you can see, as I drag my cursor over the screen, it is suggesting items that I can select. And what I actually want to do here is change the status of the expired leases because it's not actually that bad to me. And it is visually impeding the sense of urgency because what I actually care about is that everyone is paying in time. And I kind of like this yellow more actually. So I'll just use yellow 400, hit send, and now it's going to update that for me. So yeah, really our leases roll over on a monthly basis if they haven't been signed or renewed. But that is not as bad. So I feel like it should just be yellow, but late payments, definitely something we gotta look after. Okay, so it's finished the visual edits and we still have 3 phases left. At this point, I just don't have the patience, so I'm just gonna say hi. Not hi, but finish the rest of the phases. Instead of one by one, just complete all of them. Let's give it a minute to think. Now it's completed phases 5 through 7, which is cool because it saved us time and I didn't have to babysit it phase by phase. It is confirming that it's completed them all here. We can look at the details even, but I don't really care about that right now. I just want to review the lease pages. Oh, and it is broken. Why? Maybe it's not built yet. Let's find out. Why is the lease page, the leases page, not ready? You know, we can really hold it accountable for what it's building. And I want to review if any of the other pages are still missing. So the leases route was never created. It's listed on the sidebar nav, but has no page or route. Let me add it now. Good, it's smart thinking. So that means payments is probably, okay, it is complete. Cool. We can review Alice Johnson has made her last payment on March 29th. So that's cool. She paid via ACH. Brian Lee is late, as always. And David Kim, it seems he is pending, but still in time. So that's good. Isabel Torres made a partial payment on April 1st. Cool. What about maintenance? So we have 4 open work orders, 2 in progress, and 3 which are urgent. And it looks like Mike Reynolds is on his way to Carla Mendez's house at Maple Ridge. Nice. And while we were reviewing that, it finished the leases page. So we can now see, okay. So they're all expired. Really, our property manager should be doing a better job at keeping up with renewals, but that's no problem. Now, reports is coming soon. Do we want to build it now? Probably not now, but I will review the rest of the plan. And it seems like we're finished. We're done. Lastly, we are going to hit publish. So we can either add a custom domain. I'm not going to do that because I believe it's a paid feature. Correct. So I can buy a new domain, or I can connect an existing domain. But I rather just publish it because I really want my users to get straight to testing it out as soon as possible. So I'll hit publish, and then you can click continue through all of the steps. It's recommending a security scan. That's a pretty cool and relatively new feature that Lovable has added. But since we aren't really dealing with sensitive data right now and nothing is exposed, I'll just skip these steps in the meantime. Once we're actually dealing with accounting data or any personal data, it's really best to just lock it down because we want to be responsible with the applications we're building. When you're building with AI, there are a lot of things that are going on under the hood, which we don't really understand all the time unless we're looking inside. And security is a big responsibility. So if you're building an app that is just going to ingest or store anyone's sensitive data, such as name, email, phone number, especially financial information, you should really be doing a good job, at least by following the precautions and warnings that your AI app is displaying. Now, our app is ready. Let's click View App, and it'll take us to a real website. If you were to right now try to look this up, rent-realm-1.lovable.app, you can see what we have built. And I will use the drop down to just switch views. So the first view we were just looking at was our view, the property manager's view, but this is what the tenant would see when they log into their portal, right? So you can see next payment, balance, open requests, all of that good stuff. They can even review their payment history. Now, what about the maintenance coordinator? What are they going to see? They just get to see the work orders, and that's all, right? So if you have an in-house team, this is really cool, and everyone just has access to the same data. The last thing before we leave Lovable is to save our last working version. This is going to help us make edits in the past and pin to specific moments where we made significant progress in our project. As you can see on screen, we have different saved versions or checkpoints where we could roll back our progress in time. But since everything we made, I really wanted to make it to the final project, I'm just going to bookmark this in history and make sure that it is available to us in the future. So if in the future we want to roll back to this version because we either made something that was breaking, didn't work, or we just didn't want it at the end, we didn't need it, this is a good way to bookmark our last working version and then restore it if we need in the future. A quick recap of what we learned today. First, make sure to work on your knowledge base before starting your project. Include context such as who your users are going to be, what you're going to use your app for, any special considerations like design. Contain everything within a single document, including rules like things you wanted to do and things you wanted to avoid. Second, use plan mode when you're stuck or when you're just beginning your project so that you can review big changes in advance. Third, use phases. Don't build in one single mega prompt. Break up your project in steps. And lastly, pin every working session so that you can restore your version if you ever need to refer to it in the future.